Everything seemed like it was going to be a happily ever after.
He had the dreamiest smile, and that's, I think, what caught me.
Slowly, things started creeping into the relationship that were very concerning.
He told me I looked fat, ugly, slutty, old.
Outbursts of anger,
Fits of rage,
violent treatment,
throw things at me,
through a television.
beat in the left side of my face.
I didn't expect things to escalate the way they did.
I was 6 months pregnant, and he tackled me and strangled me on my kitchen floor.
We met in a bar. We just started talking and had a few things in common. He was very charming and animated and engaging. I mean, of course, it was all wonderful in the beginning. We had what I thought a lot in common. I realized later he was mirroring back everything to me that I cared about, that I loved, that I was interested in, and the relationship moved really fast. It was about a month after we'd known each other that I got pregnant with my son. He quickly moved in, and we were just kind of on this fast track to parenthood. As the pregnancy continued, there was one day we were setting up the crib. He just blew up at me over something that really had nothing to do with me, and I was scared of him, and I kind of had this feeling in my stomach that there was something there that was threatening, but I would always try, make an attempt to, just communicate, bring it to the table, and that always backfired on me. It always ended up being my fault. He was never accountable for anything, gaslighting, projection, triangulation. So it just kind of escalated from there. I would hear the way the truck door would shut when he would get home from work, and I would think, oh, it's going to be one of those nights. I could tell kind of what the night was going to be like. It escalated to getting more physical. When I was 7 months pregnant with my son, he gave me a black eye as I was trying to leave. Things were, the violence was escalating, and I felt smaller and smaller. The person that I was before was just kind of fading away and disappearing. I was just, more and more scared to be myself. And then the idea of a new baby came up, and it was him mostly pushing that. And I did want to have 2 kids. I'd always wanted 2 kids, and so I agreed. There were these moments pregnant with her. There was one particular moment. I was standing in the doorway, and he was screaming at me, and he was slamming his hand. It felt like the whole house was shaking, and I felt her jump, and I thought, Laura, what are you doing? This is not something you can fix. But I still stayed and stayed and stayed and stayed. It was Christmas Eve. My son was 5 and my daughter was 5 months old. And he started asking me about how much I had spent on Christmas presents for him. And I was thinking, oh, this is a trap. Trick question. He started getting really upset. The fight just escalated. We were in the bedroom in the doorway, and he was holding my baby daughter. And he just started screaming these obscenities and nasty things to me. And I went right up to him, and I locked eyes with him, and I just took her. And I took like 3 or 4 big steps backwards. And I sensed my son in the room, and I leaned down to him and I said, go in the bathroom. That was when he threatened to kill me and came at me at my throat with his hands. And I got away. I just backed us up into the bathroom, and I told my son to lock the doors, and he just blasted through the house, slamming doors and breaking things. He left, and I nursed my daughter to calm her down, and then right when I was done nursing, I felt something in my stomach, and I came out of her room and I saw him coming up towards the front door, and I just threw myself against that door. I was pushing myself, all of my weight against that door, not letting him in, and he kept unlocking it, and I kept locking it, and he kept unlocking it, screaming through this thick front door. And I said, if you don't leave right now, I'm calling the cops. And he didn't, so I was holding the door with my body, continued with one hand to lock it as he unlocked it, and we have this little shelf thing by the front door for mail and stuff, and so I called and I just set it there, and then I had both hands again on the door and just went through, the whole thing with the police on the phone, and they showed up. It was that day, it was that very kind police officer, I'll never forget his name or his face. He handed me a Faces of Hope brochure. He said, reach out to these guys. They can help you from here.
Faces of Hope helps anyone that's experiencing interpersonal violence, and so that covers domestic violence, sexual assault,
child abuse,
elder abuse,
stalking,
and human trafficking.
When a survivor comes to Faces of Hope, we do provide wraparound services, which means we are coming at their healing from many different angles, whether that be legal, counseling, case management, trauma-informed yoga, or even support classes and groups.
Another service that we get to provide is childcare, so that kids get a safe opportunity to be away from maybe some of the abuse that they might be enduring, but they also get to be here while their parent is getting care that they need to be healed.
And all of our services are offered to survivors at no cost. We don't even bill insurance, so it reduces all barriers, even the financial ones.
So something unique and special about Faces of Hope is that we are short-term, and because of that, we can have no wait lists for any of our services.
If we identify that a survivor needs longer-term care, we get them connected at the first appointment to get on waitlist for long-term care so that there is no gap between our services and the long-term care services.
because we know that this is going to be a long journey. So many times I've heard people say, it might just be easier to go back. It takes 7 times on average to leave your abuser. If we had a wait list, or if we charged money, it would be a barrier for that person who's looking for help. But if they come here and they feel the support services, they are much more likely to leave their abuser. And so to give them options, help them feel believed, that's what Faces is all about.
Those days after he was gone, I was so scared that he was going to come back and actually kill me.
Looking back at Laura's case, we worked on what the civil protection order process looks like.
So civil protection order is a type of restraining order.
What to tell the judge, and really focusing on how to get her the civil protection order to protect her going forward.
I had no money, I couldn't afford an attorney, but Marga was just there. She was one of the angels in my life. I will never, ever forget how Faces of Hope was there for me.
A lot of the time, they walk through our doors and
They're leaving an abusive situation that they were actively in, maybe even minutes or hours before they come in for that point of contact.
they're extremely vulnerable.
And that sometimes is their first time sharing their story.
And there's something about being heard for the first time and then finding the words to actually say what's happening to you out loud.
And we as advocates get to help them rewrite that narrative
And we get to be there by their side through everything.
and let them know that they are believed, that they are cared for, that they are seen, and that they are loved.
And to just remind them how great they are after someone has tried to convince them otherwise. It's really, really magical to be a part of.
Really, I feel the difference in my life every single day. I am so excited about my life. I get to be my authentic self. I get to explore my passions. I'm so in love with my children, and I'm so in love with the life that we have together.
That's something I wish I could show our current survivors. I wish I could show them how it'll look in a few years.
I didn't know what real joy and real peace actually felt like until I got to this place. If I hadn't become aware of services like Faces of Hope's services being free, I think I might have been stuck forever. So that was a huge part of being able to see a way out.
So it's really important for our services to remain free, to take away that boundary and that barrier for those survivors who desperately need our help.
Since 2016, we have served over 7,300 men, women, and children. We have some amazing crisis counselors who have provided over 10,000 counseling sessions since 2018. We have been able to provide over 2,000 legal sessions since 2020, just last year alone. We provided over 28,000 diapers to children who would have otherwise worn a soggy diaper throughout the day. We provided over 1,600 food cards so that people could put food in their pantries. And we provided over 1,000 gas cards so that they could fill their tank to make appointments to Faces or to go to court appointments so that they could get to where they needed to be to start their journey.
I could get the help that I needed and get through those steps and get to a life that was safe and healthy and stable simply because those services existed that I otherwise would never have been able to afford.
That is why FACES is so crucial to this community, to care for our population as we continue to grow. That is our #1 priority.
I've always been really amazed by the generosity of our community.
If you're supporting an organization like Faces of Hope, you can know that those dollars are truly a ticket to freedom for somebody who is living a life of imprisonment.
You are allowing people's lives to be transformed. You are allowing them to take a step towards healing.
We are breaking generational trauma in the work we do every day.
To provide people with a safe space.
I can't think of anything more important.
Because together we are stronger than violence.
Together we can make sure
No survivor
is ever alone.
And together,
we will create a future.
We will create a future
where hope
triumphs over
Triumphs over hurt.
Where hope triumphs over hurt.